again. We will go live in 3, 2, 1.
Music hold ended.
Well, good evening, everyone. We are live from the 5th floor of Longworth Office Building, 1516 Longworth, just across the street from the Capitol Building. My name is Mark Alford. I'm your congressman for the 4th Congressional District of the great state of Missouri. Good to have you with us on this Tele-TownHall meeting. We're also live on Facebook at Rep. Mark Alford. If you want to watch there as you are also on your phone, you're welcome to do so. Look, it's my pleasure to host this Tele-TownHall again. What is this, like our third or fourth one we've done? Fourth? We've done quite a few, is my point. Hey, if you want to stay up to date on what we're doing, please visit our website, alford.house.gov, and you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Rep. Mark Alford. Now, if at any point you've got a question that you want to ask me, please press star 3. If you want to subscribe to our newsletter, press star 6. This newsletter is really killer. We do it about every 2 weeks. It comes out, and it's got really all the information, the things that we've been doing here in Washington. It's a great way to kind of keep in touch with what's going on here in Washington. Again, if you want to subscribe to the newsletter, press star 6. If you want to ask a question, press star 3. All right, we want to talk about some of the things going on here in Washington. I'm going to start with the Biden crime family. This week the House Republicans will bring to the floor House Resolution 918. It directs the House Oversight and Accountability Committee, the House Judiciary Committee, and the House Ways and Means Committee, which, by the way, is led by Jason Smith of Missouri, to continue their ongoing investigations as part of the existing inquiry on whether really there's the grounds to impeach President Biden. Look, we all know what's been going on, right? You've been following the news. You know that Joe Biden's gotten some checks from his brother, supposedly repayments for loans. We haven't seen any information on the loans. One of these checks was $40,000. This family has set up all these shell companies. Money has come in from Russia and China. And it looks like this president's the most compromised president in the history of the United States of America. So we need to get to the bottom of it. This impeachment inquiry, when it's formalized, will give us more subpoena power. It will formalize the process. Again, if you want to ask a question during tonight's Tele-TownHall, please press star 3. If you want to subscribe to our newsletter, press star 6. Also, big this week is the National Defense Authorization Act. You know, last week we were on the conference committee and we passed out the text of this. Now, give you a little background. Every year we do this, and I'm on the Armed Services Committee. My predecessor, Vicki Hartzer, was on it as well. Ike Skelton before her. He was actually the chair of the Armed Services Committee. And this is important. This is how we fund our military. For back home in our district, is how we fund Whiteman Air Force Base. It's how we keep the B-2 program going. It's how we pay for the B-21 program that's going to be eventually coming to Whiteman. For the Fort Leonard Wood, that's how we fund the programs there. We successfully got $50 million for new housing there at Fort Leonard Wood. We got the Secretary of the Army to come to Fort Leonard Wood to see the bad conditions of one of the shooting ranges. And guess what? We're getting a new shooting range there at Fort Leonard Wood. So this is an important piece of legislation, the NDAA. With the threat from China that is so real right now, with Xi Jinping breathing down the neck of Taiwan, it's important that we show that we can be a deterrent, that we are a deterrent. This budget will go towards also giving our men and women in the military a 5.2% raise. We're getting rid of the DEI programs, the CRT programs. We're making sure that the Department of Defense knows that House Republicans will not tolerate any more of this woke nonsense that they've been trying to shove down our throats. So that's one of the things we're working on. What else are we working on? Oh, I want to talk about what we've been doing in Washington and in our district. Again, if you have a question, press star 3. And if you want to subscribe to our newsletter, press star 6. But we've had such a great year. I tell you what, this year has flown by. We've been in office now for 11 months. I never thought I don't like all the history that's been made here. I never thought we would have to vote 15 times for Kevin McCarthy to become Speaker. And then, of course, he gets fired. We've got a great Speaker of the House right now, Mike Johnson, who is doing a great job trying to get all of our conference together and get these all-important votes in our budget, our appropriations bills. But we've done a lot here in Washington, and we have introduced more than 15 different bills. We have passed 12 bills or amendments out of the House. We have led more than 20 letters questioning the actions of the administration or different agencies. This is very important because we have oversight of these agencies, and it's important that they know that we have that oversight and we're able to question them and try to improve on things so that they can better serve you. In Missouri, at our 3 offices, we have hosted around our district really more than 25 town hall meetings, tele-town halls, and meet and greets all over the district. If you have not been at those, I encourage you to come. A lot of you like to complain on social media, and that's fine. I don't mind sparring with you a little bit, but come see me in person. If it's a big deal, if you want to have an adult conversation about something, come down and see me in person. I don't bite, believe me. We'll have coffee and donuts for you, okay? So I'd love for you to come down. We have closed more than 700 cases for people in our district, and some actually not in our district that can't get help in other districts we won't mention. We have saved the taxpayers, you the taxpayers, more than $500,000. We have recouped in IRS payments, in VA payments, Social Security payments, money that is due you, and we have, our great staff has helped return that money to you. Again, press star 3 if you have a question, star 6 to sign up. Now, something different we're doing on this town hall. We are doing a poll question, all right? Zelensky, I didn't mention this, but Vladimir Zelensky, if he's not in Washington right now, he's on his way. He's here to try to get more money out of us to fund the war in Ukraine. We've already given $113 billion so far. $67 billion of that has gone to the Presidential Drawdown Authority to send weaponry over there. This president has slow rolled out the F-16s, the ATACMS missiles, the Abrams tanks. And look, Ukraine has not won this war yet. So Zelensky and the president wants another $60 billion. You probably know where I stand on this. I don't want to influence the poll question, but I am going to tell you the poll question. Do you think the United States should send more military or financial aid to Ukraine? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no, press 3 for maybe. Again, do you think the United States should send more money or military aid to Ukraine? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no, press 3 for maybe. We have our first caller, Mike from Scoutsville. Mike, how are you tonight?
Good.
What's on your mind, Mike?
We're losing our country. I'm just wondering if anybody in Washington is going to stand up on their hind legs and get rid of the crap that's in there. I don't understand why Biden and Ray and Mayorkas and all them guys ain't been impeached when, providing aid and comfort to the enemy is treason.
Are you talking about the border situation, Mike?
I'm talking about all of it. I mean, opening our borders, giving Hamas money, Iran money. I mean, that's treason. That's providing aid and comfort to our enemies.
Well, let me start by. You hang on the line too. I think you make a very good point because Mayorkas should have been fired a long time ago. I voted to have him impeached. That vote did not pass the House. Instead, it sent it back to committee through regular order, which is what we're trying to do here. And so that is in the works, a committee hearing on the impeachment inquiry for Mayorkas. He is the biggest liar since Pinocchio. He and Biden have let almost 10 million illegal aliens into our sovereign nation. since they took office, and they say it's secured, that there's no crisis, and we know that that is a lie, Secretary Mayorkas. They want them all to end up voters on the other end. You already see that in some states, in New York, where they're trying to give voter rights to illegal aliens, which is just insanity. As for Iran, I totally agree with you, Mike. Unfreezing these assets that have been frozen in bank accounts, $6 billion, I think it's more than that now. Biden has released this money, and Iran is able to, shift their money around to fund other terrorist organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah. And so you're right, this will be part of the impeachment inquiry. I believe that will be a chapter of it, along with the financial misdealings, if you want to call it that the Biden crime family has done. Does that answer your question?
Why isn't anybody pursuing treason against these people?
Well,
I don't understand it. I mean, there's plenty of evidence. It's overwhelming.
Right. That'll be part of the impeachment inquiry. That will be brought up during the impeachment inquiry. So it is being addressed. You could stand up on the House floor, I guess, and yell treason, 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 but it's got to go through the committee process. All right, let's go to our next caller. This is Dana from Waynesville. Dana, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good.
What's on your mind? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I lost my son to fentanyl here in Pulaski County.
I'm so sorry.
May 31st of 2022. In February 2022, the person who I feel is guilty for his death was put on a suspended imposition of sentence, and they had 3 prior prison sentences, and they got this SIS for a drug charge.
Right.
And I just would like to know, what are you planning to do to help stop our children from being killed? I work in Fort Leonard Wood.
Yeah.
And I know the ages of our military. This is affecting people 18 to 45 mainly, but we are also now, it's affecting our children that are like infants. If we continue to let all this fentanyl come into our country, we're not going to have an army. We're not going to have a Navy. We're not going to have an Air Force, because 1845 is the average age of our soldiers.
Well, Dana,
So
first of all,
what are you going to do to stop this?
I am...
And what do you also...
Go ahead. Did you have a second question?
Yes, these counties, they need to start investigating these deaths as homicides. That's exactly what they are.
Yes. Okay, that's a very good point, Dana. And first of all, I'm sorry. God, I cannot imagine losing a child. Anyway, my heart goes out to you, and I'm just so sorry that you're going through this in this time of year especially. Look, this president, I think, is culpable for what has happened in our nation. 107,000 of our fellow citizens died last year from fentanyl poisoning. And I do call it poisoning. I think it's an intentional act on the Chinese and the Mexican drug cartels, and then being facilitated by our own government for keeping the border open. So yes, I do think the DAs, prosecutors should start looking at charging these as homicides. I know in our area up just south of Kansas City in Cass County, they are, I believe, starting to do that. I don't know if you're aware, but we started this summer fentanyl forums because I realized that our government's not doing anything about the fentanyl issue, and I wanted to try to just get the conversation going. And so this summer in Belton and Cass County, we had a fentanyl forum. I'm trying to do those in every district. We bring people together, victims' families, to tell their stories like yours, Dana, and educators, counselors, clergy, law enforcement, just trying to find some answers. And each community may be a little bit different. So on December 18th, we're having a fentanyl forum in Boone County, Columbia, with Blaine Lutemeyer. I've offered this program to every member of our delegation in Missouri, and I hope to do these programs all over Missouri. We have talked about doing one down in Laclede or Pulaski County, and I would love to have you be a part of that. So maybe we can work together so that no other young person dies from this poisoning. Dana, thank you so much. Let's go to Michael from Warrensburg. Michael, I was just in Warrensburg the other day. How you doing?
Doing fine.
Awesome. What can I help you with, Michael?
Well, I'm concerned about obviously the border situation. We're bringing so many people across. Everybody thinks that it's just migrants from South America, but when we have all the Chinese, the Iraqis, the people from all the nations that are not necessarily friendly to us coming across our borders, I am kind of concerned about what their intentions are.
Well, yeah, it scares me a lot, Michael. It's different with someone coming here with a legitimate asylum claim of persecution, political persecution, who comes here and wants to be a part of the fabric of America. But what we're seeing now in the news reports, if you watch the news, you see people streaming across. We had 12,000 illegal aliens come across in one day last week. On average, 5,000 illegal aliens are released by our own government into our country, and that is creating a stress on everyone. And it's going to start putting a stress on places like Warrensburg. I'm here to tell you right now, the illegal aliens are not going to stay in Texas. Well, we've seen what they're doing to New York City right now, and every state is a border state. We're going to have to deal with this. That's why we need to secure the border. The House passed H.R. 2, the Secure Border Act, back in May, and yet this administration, though the Senate won't pass it, and I'm sure Biden wouldn't sign it because first you have to admit there's a problem, and then we need to finish the wall. We need to correct our asylum situation, and we need to make sure that if you come here and you claim asylum, you need to stay in Mexico or the country that you can find safe harbor before you come here, because it takes 10 years to have your case heard. It is a big problem, Michael. I am very concerned about sleeper cells, Islamic terrorists who have come up, an unknown number of fighting age men who have come from countries that are not friendly to the United States of America and want to do us harm. It is a very scary situation. Our poll question tonight: do you think the United States should send more military or financial aid to Ukraine? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no, press 3 for maybe. Again, Zelensky is in town, I think, tonight. He's going to meet with the Senate tomorrow and President Biden. And they're wanting more money, folks, $60 billion of your money to go towards Ukraine. If at any point you have a question, please press star 3. And if you want to subscribe to our newsletter, press star 6. Got a lot of stars to press. Okay, let's go to Ed from Lebanon. Ed, how are you doing in Lebanon?
Oh, I'm just wonderful, thank you.
Fantastic. What can we do for you?
Well, first of all, I am a disabled veteran, and my question is, why is the Veterans Administration being called upon to provide health care to illegal immigrants?
Yeah, I read about that. That is just plain wrong. We need to make sure that you and the men and women who have served our great nation have the best care before we even start thinking about care to illegal aliens. I think that is asinine. I think we'll start looking into that. I'm not on the Veterans Affairs Committee, but I have quite a few good friends who are. Mike Bost, who is a friend of mine, heads up the Veterans Committee, and Derek Van Orden, who's right across the hall from, we're going to have a discussion about that. But thank you for bringing that to our attention. You are correct. Illegal aliens should not be getting health care from the VA. All right, let's go to Corin from Jamestown. Corin, good evening.
Yes, I was wondering what your opinion was with these foreign countries owning property in the United States And what's being done about trying to stop that?
Well, look, I am certainly not for aggressor nations like China, Russia, other aggressors towards the U.S. owning land, especially around our military bases. And there are some bills working their way through the Senate, and I think one here in the House trying to stop that. I know on the state level, some action has been taken to curtail that. It's not a safe practice. I don't know exactly how many acres or buildings in Missouri are owned by foreign countries, but if any is owned by any adversarial nation that wants to do us harm, I think that should be outlawed, is my basic answer to that. Let's go to Dennis from Camdenton. Dennis.
I noticed on the flyer that you sent, hello?
Yes, go ahead, Dennis.
Oh, thank you. I noticed on the flyer that you sent out a few weeks ago where you had Ronald Reagan's name spelled.
Yeah.
I wanted to know exactly where do you stand. I know you're doing the poll question, but where do you stand on the war with on Russia and Ukraine?
Gotcha. Well, first off, I want to address that mishap, that misspelling. Ronald Reagan, I think, is the greatest president, and I take full responsibility for the misspelling of that. I did not look it over closely enough in my haste. That is not an excuse. I'll make sure that doesn't happen again. We spelled it R-E-G-A-N instead of R-E-A-G-A-N. So, with that being said, I appreciate you pointing that out, as many others have. Here's my deal on Ukraine. Ukraine cannot lose to Russia. However, we've got to know what the end game is for Zelensky. He has not told us. Is it taking back the Donbass region? Is it going back to pre-1991 borders? Is it taking back Crimea? He won't tell us. Biden won't tell us. They say that it is, or Biden has said that we will fund and be behind Ukraine for as long as it takes. And I'm here to tell you that is not the sentiment, I think, of most of the Republicans, including myself. We've got to know the end game of what is their strategy. What does victory look like? Why are they not using the aid that we've already authorized and appropriated? There are 250 Switchblade drones sitting across the Potomac here in a warehouse in Virginia somewhere that we've authorized and appropriated, but the Department of Defense has not contracted on to go over and kill people in that region and to blow up tanks. These are highly effective drones that are like suicide bomber drones called Switchblades. So I am not in favor of sending any more aid to Ukraine until they give us some answers of what victory looks like. We get a full accounting of where all the money has gone. And first and foremost, we have got to secure our border first. We should not be helping another country secure their border before. We have an invasion right now of our sovereign nation. 10 million illegal aliens since Biden has been in office have invaded our nation. And about 1 million of those gotaways that we have no idea if they are terrorists, Islamic terrorists who want to do us harm. So thank you for that question. Our poll question is, do you think the U.S. should send more military or financial aid to Ukraine? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no, press 3 for maybe. Again, if you have a question, press star 3. If you want to subscribe to the newsletter, press star 6. Let's go to Ellie from Lone Jack. Ellie, how are you?
Hi. Hello, good evening. I had a quick question for you.
Sure.
I think I saw that you did not vote to remove George Santos.
Yes, correct.
And I was just wondering what your logic was, because obviously he's a little bit of a sketchy guy.
Yes, very sketchy. Yeah. Look, George, we came in the freshman class together. I thought he was a nice guy when I first met him. We went through all these orientation classes together. And when we went home on break in December a year ago, before we got sworn in, all this news started coming out about all of the things that he had been up to, and I'm like, this is the guy I met. He's obviously a narcissistic con artist who is in deep legal trouble. That being said, none of the allegations that have been made against him, and he's been charged with a lot of things in court, but that has not run its course through the court system. He has not been properly adjudicated and convicted of something. So based on the precedent that did set of expelling a fellow member of the House without having a conviction, it's only happened a handful of times in U.S. history. The first couple of times, it was for people who were members of the Confederacy, and they were expelled from the Congress. The only other members that have been expelled were those who have been convicted of a crime. And so I feel like, the Democrats, if they got back in power, they could bring any Republican up just on an allegation or a charge and try to have them expelled. We have to have, I think, maintain this precedent of you've got to be convicted of a crime to be expelled. He could have been censured. That's what we did with Jamal Bowman for pulling that fire alarm. But yes, I think George Santos has a long legal road ahead of him. I do not like what he did, but I did not think because of precedent it warranted his expulsion. Let's go to Jeffrey from Pleasant Hill. Jeffrey, how are you?
Mark, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. What's up, buddy?
Well, here's my question. I know that there's a lot going on right now in the landscape that you're dealing with. There's a lot of important things like the border and everything like that, but I think that there's an issue that is affecting Missourians that, man, it may be just as big as any of those.
What's that?
I've spent the last decade of my life fighting tick-borne illness. Last 4 of those years have been flat on my back, and it is decimating people. But the problem is that when you go to the doctor for this, they don't recognize it. They want to put people on, Paxil or call it a mental illness, and or diagnose it as MS or diagnose it as lupus.
Is this like Rocky Mountain spotted fever?
All of the above. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, babesia, Bartonella. I'm telling you, there are 40 flavors of Bartonella. There are now 76 documented flavors of Lyme disease, and it is spreading through Missouri like wildfire. I don't know if you've heard about anybody getting the red meat allergy here lately, but it is huge. It is rampant in this area for sure, and there are there's nothing being done to spread awareness about this. There's nothing being done both in the community and in the medical profession. And there's no doubt that the CDC is absolutely in cahoots with Big Pharma on this. I mean, if we can misdiagnose, and I can give you a pill for the rest of your life and tell you you've got lupus instead of telling you you've got Lyme disease, because you can cure Lyme disease.
Right.
But, that's the way things are going. It's just the covering up of the symptoms with Big Pharma. But it's a big problem. A lot of people are walking around with it, and they don't even know it. They don't even realize it.
Hey, Jeffrey, I would be interested in having a face-to-face with you on our next mornings with Mondays with Mark. We're going to be doing some when I'm back in the district. I just flew in an hour ago, but I'm going to be home for 3 weeks during the holiday break, Christmas break, and maybe you and I could meet up for a cup of coffee there in Pleasant Hill or something, okay?
Let's do that. Just
Would
give
you
me a shout or I'll call to schedule it on this. We did share a common friend, so we may have a little bit to talk about there too.
All right, call.
I knew Donnie before he passed.
Oh, Don Harmon, yeah.
Yeah, he used to play softball with him.
Call. Makes me laugh, Don Harmon, just hearing his name.
Good dude.
That was 12 years ago. Can you believe that?
I can't.
All right, so call this number, our officer in Raymore, 816-441-6318, 816-18, and ask for Becky, and she'll line that up. All righty? And we'll catch up.
631-844. Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
All right.
I'll do that. Thank you very much.
Take care, Jeffrey. Merry Christmas.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Once again, our poll number. Do you think the United States should send more military or financial aid to Ukraine? Vladimir Zelensky is heading to Washington, D.C. right now to beg for more money. Biden's putting a lot of pressure on us. Press 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for maybe. Do we have anybody voting so far on that? Okay. Let's go to Lance from Harrisonville. Lance, how are you?
Good. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. What's up?
Hey, I just got a question for you. I don't know what's going. I know I see it all over the Capitol Hill and whatnot about with Riley Gaines and transgenders going,
Right.
boys going into girls sports and whatnot. I live in Harrisonville, which is great, and there's not. I just don't know if there's anything going on with that in the state of Missouri to keep boys in boys sports and girls in girls sports.
Well, I know what we've done in the U.S. House. We passed H.R. 734. What's the official name of that? Protection of Women and Girls in Sports. A very important bill that, hey, we've got to realize that this isn't fair. It isn't right. Everyone knows it's not right. If you were to fallen asleep 20 years ago, heck, 10 years ago, and woke up today and hear about what's going on, you would think you were living on another planet. It's just common sense. And so we are fighting it here on the federal level. I don't know what's going on in the state level. But I'm sure something is. All right, let's go to, who do we have next? We have Lori from Lincoln. Lori from Lincoln. Lori, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What's going on?
How are you doing?
I am fine. How are you doing?
Hanging in there like all the Missourians.
Good.
I have two questions. The first one, I had called your office. It was, I think, last week sometime, and I didn't get no return call, but I knew you did this stuff, so I was hoping there would be another one. I need to know, and I already know you're in favor of this, for term limits for Congress.
Correct.
How can we, let's work hard. Let's get this, how can we get it, can
Well,
it be put on the ballot for 24?
So I know that, so this would have to be a constitutional amendment, okay? That's the whole deal. I signed a pledge to support a constitutional amendment, 3 terms in the House, 2 in the Senate. I stand behind that. It has been introduced in committee. Which committee would that be? Judiciary Committee. And but it did not make it out of committee, is my understanding, to get on the House floor. So I had nothing to do with that. I'm not on that committee. I am going to talk with our new Speaker, Mike Johnson. I think he is in favor of that. I think he may have even signed that. We'll have to check into that, the U.S. term limit pledge. But there are a lot of conservatives like myself who want to see term limits in Congress. Look, there are some great people up here. There's some people up here who've been up here a long time who still do great things. But this is not, I've been here a year, and it's a lot of work. And if you're going to do the job right and go back in the district like I do every weekend and travel the district as much as you can, it is a lot of work. It takes its toll. And I think the term limits are a good thing to make sure that we're getting fresh ideas and fresh energy in these offices where you can get the best representation. Did you have another question, Lori?
But also on the term limits, it also cuts down on the corruption, like what we're facing with Biden.
Right. Yeah.
And it happens a lot, especially if, even in just a regular job, anywhere out here, outside of Congress, anybody that's in a job a really long time, corruption happens. It always happens, always.
Well, yeah, I think that just the opportunities arise and people start getting lax, and I think they they give in to temptation on certain things. I tell you, one thing that disturbs me is how are members of the House allowed to trade on the stock market for things that they know about, using information that they've gotten out of a committee or through the use of their job, and then make a stock trade on that. I don't think that should be legal. I don't do it. I just got plain 401k that I used to have at Fox 4 that got rolled over, and I've got whatever the government funded one is now. But I don't think members should be able to trade individual stocks. It's just my personal belief. Hey, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Rep Mark Alford. You probably are already following me on my other old Mark Alford KC. We're trying to get everyone to follow us on these new channels. These are our official channels. Once again, do you think the United States should send more military or financial aid to Ukraine? Press 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for maybe. Let's go to Kevin from Concordia. Kevin, how are you?
Hey, Mark. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, just a couple things. For one, I wanted to thank you again for coming to Concordia back when you were running and giving us an opportunity to listen to you and talk to you and take a picture by one of our awesome murals. And by the way, we have like 4 more now.
I heard that.
Concordia.
You've got one of the B2, don't you?
Yep, we do. We have one with Ben Franklin, and we have one with the Newspaper Boys. So yeah, you have to.
Wow.
Or I invite any of your listeners to come to Concordia also and check them out.
Well, we will be back there soon. Maybe do a in-person town hall meeting there, a little get together, and so we can talk in person. What's your question, Kevin?
So 2 things. One, I just want to make a statement and let you know that I know that you have changed your whole career, lifestyle, everything for you and Leslie to take on this responsibility, and I know the weight on your shoulders has got to be very heavy. But I want to let you know that a lot of us common sense thinkers and followers are supporting you, and we appreciate you doing all this for us. And I know you've been in recovery now for like 2 years from being a reporter. So
thanks for clarifying that. Yes. A recovering reporter, yes.
Yeah, so I appreciate you getting through that. But I guess my only question really is now that you've actually experienced Washington, D.C., have you seen or felt pressure to vote a certain way to kind of follow the party line versus what your individual personal feelings or what you maybe thought the feelings of the people that you represent versus the political game? So I guess that's kind of my question to you is how are you doing with that, or have you had to make an adjustment or experience that or not?
I have not sacrificed anything that I believe in to vote a certain way. There is some pressure. I mean, that's why they have a whip team. They were pressuring me last spring to vote for the budget that McCarthy had negotiated with Biden, and I felt like it was too high. And so I voted no. I got pressure. I mean, Kevin McCarthy called me trying to get me to change my vote. Several members called me trying to get me to change my vote. And I told Kevin and others that Kevin told me when I was thinking about running and when I got elected to vote my conscience and vote my district. And so that's what I'm doing with every vote that I take. I'm voting my conscience and my district. And many times the district outweighs my conscience. And what I mean by that is, look, I represent 772,047 people, almost 750,000 people. It's not just Republicans who sent me here. I want to vote how you guys in the majority of our conservative voters in our district wants me to vote. And so that's why I'm always asking questions. We did a poll on the several polls that we've done on how should I vote a certain way. And I call people in the grassroots organizations to get their input on different things, because I just want to make sure that I am truly your voice and your vote, because that's what I promise to be. So I know that's a long answer, Kevin, to your question, but I have not felt any undue pressure. There's going to be normal pressure here, but I haven't given into it. So thank you, Kevin. Look forward to seeing you. Let's go to TR from Coal Camp. How are you, TR?
I'm doing well. Thank you for taking my call. I want to, first of all, I have a question about Russia and Ukraine. Could you please explain why it is important that we send any money to Ukraine, to the Missourians?
Sure.
Why we should support that? Because I voted no. I don't want to send any money.
Okay. All right. So, without going into a 30-year-old or even longer than that history lesson, Ukraine is a very important country. It is not a member of NATO. It was once had its own nuclear weapons. They were convinced to give up their nuclear weapons, and so they no longer have that protection against Russia. Ukraine has very important, rich in agricultural assets and minerals. They're along the Black Sea. There are ports there that are very important for shipping, and the Russians wanted those. They've taken some of those. And then if you look at a map, Ukraine is next to Poland, all right, which is a NATO country. The fear is that Putin, and he said he was going to do this, all right, he was going to take Ukraine, and then these other countries, Moldova would be next, and then the next step is Poland. And so the idea was to try to stop Putin in his aggression, to keep him from going any further to the west, out of Ukraine into other countries. Look, we know Ukraine has corruption problems. There have been investigations. There are inspector generals from the United States over there right now, looking at every piece of equipment that goes in there. I've got a report here called the Proposed Plan for Victory in Ukraine, and it goes through a lot of this information about how the certification has gone, how they're cataloging everything, all this equipment. So I know the fear is that Putin is not going to stop at Ukraine. And because this president, this is the bad part. If Trump were still in office, this never would have happened, TR. And you and I both know this. The weakness that this president has shown on the world stage, the way he pulled out of Afghanistan, set in motion for this criminal named Putin to invade Ukraine, because he knew that this president was weak and was not going to do anything about it, just like Obama didn't do anything about it in 2014 when Putin took over Crimea. So, the complicating factor in all this is Xi Jinping, the communist dictator in China, because he is watching to see what happens. If we show weakness and Putin is successful, that is only going to encourage Xi Jinping to take over Taiwan. And we have an agreement to help in Taiwan's self-defense. If it comes to war with China, it is going to devastate the United States of America. It will be a sea war. 65% of the world's goods that go now through the Straits of Taiwan and the South China Sea that come to America that won't be happening. Only 5% of the goods that you now see on your store shelves will actually be there. It'll make COVID look like a cakewalk, and it's going to plunge us into a greater depression than we had in the 20s. So there are a lot of dominoes lined up here. It all goes back to Biden's feckless, flailing behavior. And so I kind of put that on him. But we have funded Ukraine $113 billion already. What have we gotten for that? This President Biden has slow rolled out the F-16s, the ATACMS, the Abrams tanks. He didn't go in to win this thing. He has pussyfooted around with Putin. And I think it is a detriment to the world, basically. Does that answer your question at all? I know it's a long speech I just gave there, TR.
Yes, sir, absolutely. I mean, I'm very glad to hear you say that, because we we just keep bleeding money towards it, and we don't get anything in return.
We don't have.
I'm glad to hear you with your thoughts.
TR, we don't have the money. We are $34 trillion in debt as a nation.
I know.
We are taking in $5 trillion and spending $7.5 trillion every year, and everyone's asleep on this. We've got to get our spending under control. We've got to get back to pre-COVID level spending. We've got to secure our border. Every person who comes over here, it's costing us $30,000 just to process and get them into America. You multiply that by 10 million people, that's not chump change. Anyway, my blood pressure is getting up. TR, thank you. Let's go to Tony from Napoleon. Tony, you there?
I am Charlie Slimelight of Hope. How you doing? Are you there?
I'm fantastic. Go ahead, sir. You're live on Mark Alford Radio. No, I'm kidding.
Good. I'm not very politically correct in my talking, but and I don't really have questions. I have statements because I'm pretty fed up with all of the politicians.
Well, go for it. I'd love to hear your...
Goes to Washington.
Go ahead.
Everybody says they're going to Washington to work for us, which they should be because, damn it, we're paying your check.
Right.
But then you guys all go together and you write these bills that are 5, 15, 20,000 pages long, and you've got billions of dollars hidden in it. That's not you guys' money. That's our money. It's for us and our children. And then it's being sent to Israel, and it's being sent to Hamas, and it's being sent over to the Zelensky. I could care less about those people. I could care less about their wars. Let them fight them. We got our own wars on our fronts. My kids are going to be paying these debts forever while fighting all the people that the politicians are letting in. We need to change the entire structure of how the government works. You guys all need to come back to realization that you work for us. And I'm not saying personally you're in the box, so you get put in with the rest.
That's all right. Hey, I do acknowledge that, Tony. I do work for you. I totally understand that. The bills that I personally have written, that our team has written, they're simple 1 or 2 page bills. They're not going to make news headlines, but they're helping ordinary people in everyday lives, like yourself, and most of the people of the 4th Congressional District have a better life. And you can go on our website, alford.house.gov, and you can find out exactly what those are. When you talk about multi-page bills, thousands of pages of bills, the omnibus bills that came out last year to fund our government of $1.4 trillion, was that the proper term amount? Yeah. It was a disgrace. That was from Nancy Pelosi. They grouped all the spending in together. We have 12 separate appropriation bills, but they wait to the last minute, put it all in one bill. You have no chance to read it, and then you have to vote on it. And that's what folks did. Not me. I wasn't here at the time. But we're not doing that anymore. We are going through regular order. All the bills are coming up through committee. They have what's called a germane qualification to make sure that it's like one topic for each bill, that we don't have a lot of riders on these bills where you're passing several things at once. And we have 72 hours to read everything now to make sure we know what we're voting on. The exceptions are 2 things. The National Defense Authorization Act, which is a large bill, that we've worked on for months. I'm on the Armed Services Committee. I worked on this thing for a long time with our legislative director, Tom Dolan. And the other one is the Farm Bill, because it authorizes protections for our farmers, the SNAP program, conservation programs for 5 years. So yes, it is lengthy. It is a big bill. But most of the bills we pass, I'm pretty sure they're germane. They're single subject bills, and they're pretty simple bills. But we're not doing the omnibus bills anymore where we get all 12 appropriation bills together. We're doing them one at a time, and that's kind of what's taking so long. Let's go to Vernon from Cass County. This is our last question. Again, before we go to you, do you think the United States should send more military financial aid to Ukraine? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no, press 3 for maybe. What are our results so far on that?
657 total, 63 51% said no, 20 yes, and then 19 maybe.
All right, so our results so far. Do you think the United States should send more military or financial aid to Ukraine? 20% said yes. 51% said no, and 19% said maybe. 62%. Say that again.
20% said yes, 62% said no.
62% said no.
And 18%.
And 18% said maybe. All right, so that's 20 yes, 62% no, and 18% maybe. Before we get to our last call, if you want to subscribe to our newsletter, press *6. And hey, if you're in the Kansas City, Missouri listening area for KCMO Radio, Pete Mundo, Ray Stevens Show, we have our own show on there on Saturdays and Sundays. Saturday at 1, it's called Mark Alford's America. I'd love for you to tune into that on Saturday at 1, Sunday at 8:30. We talk about everything going on here in Washington, what we've done for the week. We interview somebody that you've heard of here in Washington, someone that I've worked with. We had Steve Scalise on. We're trying to get the speaker on. But they're really good informational interviews. Key Radio down in Osage Beach is also running these on the weekend. All right, our last question, because I got to go vote. Vernon from Cass County. Vernon, what's up, buddy?
I just want to call and say, attaboy for what I know that you've been doing. Just keep it up. You got it right. Take care of Israel. Clean up that south border. And I agree, Ukraine needs the money, and you said that just exactly right. The only thing I can ask you about, I was watching Trump the other day when he was on on TV the other night, and he's the only guy that come up with a solution. If he had been allowed to stay in office a little longer, he'd have been making so much money off of the oil and gas that we've got, selling it to Europe, that he'd have started paying back that debt. Isn't that refreshing news?
Well, he's a businessman. Yeah, he knows how to get it done.
And the other thing I've got to say is I'll mention ivermectin, in connection with this COVID stuff, and it they made such a farce out of that it would. I guess it's legal to buy some ivermectin again. I don't know, but anyway, good job, Mark. I used to watch you downtown, and I think you might be about the most conservative one at that station.
Yeah, it's hard to get back in the front door there. Vernon, I really appreciate you. And look, I appreciate you all. If you're watching on Facebook right now, if you've called in tonight, I appreciate your time. This is what it's all about, folks. This is democracy in action. I am trying to do the best job I can to be in touch with you guys, to hear what's on your hearts, souls, and minds, to be your voice here in Washington, to get things done here in Washington. If you go to our website, offer.house.gov, you can see all the bills that we've done. You can see our positions of where we stand on different things. The fight is not over. We have a lot to do here in Washington. We have a continuing resolution staring us in the face in mid-January. I voted against the continuing resolution this last time around. We cannot keep kicking the can down the road and have spending more money than we have, and a budget that's unworkable, an appropriation system that is unimaginable the way it's operating. I'm trying to do what I can. I'm just one of 435 people here trying to make a difference for you, and I appreciate you sending me here. This 11 months has flown by, and I left the house today. My son is back home. He's 29. He just had shoulder surgery, and Leslie is there kind of nursing him back to health. And I just left with a sense of gratitude. I'm a little worn out, to tell you the truth, from all this traveling. I fly back and forth. I'm back in the district every weekend, unless I'm at a conference or out of the country. But I just love being with you guys. I was in Lafayette County this past weekend at an event, and just the people, just it's real America. There's something special about the 4th Congressional District, and my predecessor, Vicki Hartzer, and her husband, Lowell, were over for dinner a couple of weeks ago at our house, and she told me early on, she said, take care of my district. And I didn't really know what she meant by that. I know now, because you get to have this bond with people because you know you're representing them on things that truly matter and that have consequences. And I don't take that lightly. Hey, I would be remiss if I didn't say Merry Christmas. As we celebrate the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, I am so thankful for Him, for God sending Him to take on the sins of the world, including mine, that we can have eternal life with Him. And a Happy New Year. Look, my wife said, Leslie said, I can't wait for 2023 to be over with. And I don't know if you're like that, but look, we've got a lot of challenges ahead of us. But I have not given up hope on America. I have not given up hope on you or me or what we can do together as a nation. We live in the greatest nation known to man. The providence and protection of God Almighty is something that no other country has seen. And we're here for a reason. Each one of you is here for a reason, and you matter. One of the callers brought up Don Harmon, and if you're from the Kansas City area, you know Don was my best friend and weather guy there at Fox 4 who took his own life 12 years ago. And I still think about him. He would probably think, Mark, what in the world are you doing in Washington? If you are struggling right now, there are numbers to call. There's now a suicide prevention hotline that we didn't have back then. But one of the things that came out of Don's funeral was the You Matter campaign that Fox 4 still does. And I haven't talked about it in a long time, but because Don didn't feel like he mattered, which was kind of weird. He was the most popular guy in television in Kansas City, but he did matter. And you matter. And if you or someone right now is struggling with depression or thoughts of suicide, get help. God has a plan and purpose for your life. And sometimes it's just getting over that hump and seeing what that is. I got to go vote. That's what all those bells and buzzers are for. I love you guys. Take care. May God bless you. And spend some time with your family and give a hug to those you love. Take care. Bye-bye.